Captain June stood at the large window of the ship Starseeker, watching the blue and green planet grow larger as they came closer. His four-fingered hand tapped against the glass, a sign of his worry. Behind him, the crew worked at their stations, checking the many screens that filled the bridge. "Captain, I have the final readings on planet KDX-2187, said Science Officer Sunwoo. Her purple skin looked almost blue under the ship's lights as she turned to face him. "It's worse than we thought." June walked over to her station. The numbers on the screen made no sense. They had to be wrong. "Run the tests again," he ordered. Sunwoo shook her head. "I already did, 3 times. She pointed to the screen. "The planet is a Class 15 Deathworld, the highest we've ever found." The bridge went quiet. Even the usual beeping of the machine seemed to fade away as the crew tried to understand what this meant. "That's not possible," said Safety Officer Taiho from his station across the room. His long ears twitched with doubt. "Nothing can live in those conditions." June looked back at the planet. It seemed so peaceful from here. But the data didn't lie. The air was full of poisons that would kill most life forms in minutes. The gravity was so strong it would crush their bones. Storms raged across the surface with winds that could tear their ship apart. The ground shook often with quakes that could split mountains, and the radiation levels were high enough to kill cells and twist DNA. "It's beautiful," whispered Communication Officer Doyen, "but deadly." "No one will ever settle there," said Navigation Officer Hyun, shaking his head. "We'll mark it in our star maps as too dangerous and move on." June was about to agree when Sunwoo made a strange sound, half gasp, half laugh. "Captain," she said, her voice shaking, "I'm detecting artificial structures on the surface." "What?" June rushed back to her station. "Show me." Sunwoo's fingers flew across her control panel. The main screen at the front of the bridge lit up with an image of the planet's surface. Even from this height, they could see straight lines and perfect circles that nature never made. Buildings, roads, cities. "That's impossible," Taiho said again, but his voice had less confidence now. "Scan for life forms," June ordered. Sunwoo was already doing it. "Billions of them, Captain. Concentrated in those structures. They're reading as carbon-based. Oxygen breathers." She looked up, her eyes wide. Like the old stories. The crew exchanged looks. They all knew the ancient tales of the mythical, oxygen-breathing species that supposedly existed in the far reaches of the galaxy, but no one had ever found proof. "Captain," Doyen called out suddenly, "we're receiving a transmission. From the planet." June's heart beat faster. "Put it on the main screen." The image of the planet disappeared, replaced by static. Then the static cleared, and they saw a creature they had never seen before. It had pale skin, not blue or purple, or green like the races of the Galactic Alliance. It had no scales or fur. Its ears were small and round and didn't move. Dark hair grew on top of its head. 2 eyes, just 2, not the normal 4 or 6, looked out at them. The mouth was small, with flat teeth visible when it opened. "This is Outpost Terra welcoming the unidentified spacecraft," the creature said, in perfect standard Galactic. "I'm Director Hana Kim. We've been waiting for the stars to bring visitors our way for quite some time." No one on the bridge spoke. No one even breathed. The creature, Hana Kim, smiled, showing more of those strange flat teeth. "Hello? Can you hear me? Our sensors show you've been orbiting for almost a full day. We were starting to worry you might leave without saying hello." June finally found his voice. "This is Captain June of the Galactic Survey Corps vessel Starseeker. We are surprised to find life on this planet." Hana's smile grew wider. "Yes, we tend to have that effect on visitors. Though, to be fair, you're our first official ones." "Your planet," June said carefully. "Our readings show conditions that should not support life." "Ah," Hana nodded. "You're talking about the gravity, the storms, the quakes, the air mix, and the radiation, right?" "Yes," June said, amazed at how calmly she listed these deadly conditions. "That's just home for us," Hana said with a small shrug. "We call it Earth. Been living here quite a while now." Sunwoo stepped into view of their camera. How? How is that possible? Your bodies should not be able to survive. Hana laughed, a musical sound that reminded June of small bells. Yet here we are. We'd be happy to explain everything, but wouldn't you prefer to come down and see for yourselves? We can prepare a landing area for your ship. Taeho jumped from his seat. Captain, that's not safe. We can't. June held up a hand to quiet him. To Hana, he said, your offer is kind, but our species cannot survive in your environment. Oh. Hana looked surprised, then understanding crossed her face. Of course, I should have realized. We can set up a special meeting place with conditions safe for you. Our scientists have studied many life forms and have good guesses about what you might need. June looked at his crew. This went against all their training. First contact was supposed to happen in neutral space or on worlds safe for both species, but they had never planned for meeting beings who lived on a death world. We would need to send probes first, June said, to test the conditions of your meeting place. Send all the probes you want, Hana said. We understand the need for safety. Behind Hana, another creature appeared. This one was taller, with broader shoulders and shorter hair. Director, it said, the council wants an update. In a moment, Jinwoo, Hana replied. Then, to the aliens. I need to report to our leaders, but please, stay in orbit. We've waited generations for contact with other intelligent life. It would be a shame if you left now. The screen went dark. Captain, Taeho said at once, we should report this to Central Command and wait for orders. Central Command is 3 weeks away by fastest message, Hyun reminded them. And they wouldn't believe us anyway, Sunwoo added. I barely believe it myself. June returned to the window, looking down at the planet, at Earth. Somewhere down there, an impossible species lived and built cities on a world that should kill them. They spoke standard Galactic. They had a council. They had been waiting for contact. Prepare a probe, he decided, and alert the diplomatic team. We're going to meet the humans. As the crew rushed to obey, June couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these humans had in store for them. One thing was certain. The galaxy had just become a much stranger place than anyone had imagined. 3 days had passed since first contact with the humans. The probe sent to Earth's surface had returned with data that made no sense to the alien crew. The meeting place the humans had prepared showed air that was safe to breathe, normal gravity, and protection from radiation. It was as if they had created a small piece of another world inside their deadly one. Ambassador Kyung stood in the shuttle bay, watching as Safety Officer Taeho checked the team's special suits for the 10th time. These exosuits are our only protection, Taeho said, his long ears flat against his head in worry. If they fail, death will be quick. Kyung nodded. As the ship's ambassador, he had been in many dangerous situations, but never one like this. The 4-person landing team consisted of himself, cultural specialist Minji, medical officer Yoonji, and Taeho as their safety expert. Captain June entered the shuttle bay, his steps slow and heavy. The human called Hana has sent the final landing coordinates, he said. Their protective dome is ready for your arrival. And if it's a trap? Asked Taeho. June's face showed his concern. Then you will be the first to die, and we will mark this planet as hostile forever. I don't think it's a trap, said Minji. Her skin was a lighter shade of purple than the others, almost lavender. They seemed genuinely excited to meet us. That's what worries me, said Taeho. No species should be excited to meet strangers from the stars. They should be afraid. Enough, Kyung said, putting on his helmet. We have our mission. Let's not imagine problems before they happen. The team boarded the small shuttle, each taking their place in the padded seats. The ship's computer voice counted down, and then they were free, flying away from the safety of the Starseeker toward the blue and green Deathworld below. At first, the ride was smooth, but as they hit the upper air, the shuttle began to shake. Normal. Turbulence, said Taeho, who was piloting, but stronger than... A violent jolt cut off his words. Warning lights flashed red across the control panel. What was that? Yoonji asked, her voice tight with fear. Air current, Taiho said, fighting with the controls. Much stronger than our data suggested. The shuttle dropped suddenly, falling through the air like a stone. The team pressed back into their seats, the force pushing against them. Through the front window, they saw clouds rushing past, then a glimpse of land and sea far below. "Can you stabilize?" Kyung asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Trying," Taiho said. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "The air here, it's like it's fighting us." Another jolt and something broke free inside the shuttle, crashing into the wall. "Landing thrusters damaged," the computer reported. "Emergency landing procedures activated." "Hold on," Taiho shouted. The shuttle spun once, twice, then stopped its spin, but they were still falling fast. Too fast. "The humans," Minji said suddenly. "They must have technology for this kind of weather. Try to contact them." Guyung reached for the communication panel. "Shuttle to Earth base. We are in trouble. Air currents too strong. Need help." For a long moment there was only static. Then a calm voice replied, "Earth base to shuttle. We see you. You've hit the edge of a storm front. Sending guidance data now." Numbers and directions appeared on Taiho's screen. He followed them, turning the shuttle into the wind rather than fighting it. "That, not what I would have done," he said, surprised. "But it's working." The violent shaking eased. They were still falling, but now it was a controlled descent. "Almost there," said the voice from Earth. "You'll see the landing platform." In 3, 2, 1, the clouds parted and the team gasped. Below them was not the barren wasteland they expected, but a vast city protected by a huge clear dome. Around the dome were green fields, and beyond those, wild lands with tall trees and flowing water. At the edge of the dome was a flat platform with lights blinking around its edges. "Aim for the lights," the voice guided. "Our tractor beam will help with final positioning." The shuttle felt a gentle pull, guiding it to the platform. The landing was rough but safe. As the engines shut down, the team sat in silence, looking out at the alien world. "We made it," Yunji said at last. Outside the shuttle window, they could see a group of humans waiting. Most wore simple clothes with no protection, but a few had on what looked like light suits. "Remember," Kyung said as they prepared to exit, "we represent the entire Galactic Alliance. Whatever happens, stay calm and follow protocols." The shuttle door opened with a hiss. Even inside their protective suits, the team could feel the strength of Earth's gravity pulling at them. Each step was an effort as they walked down the ramp to meet the humans. A woman stepped forward, Hana Kim, the same one who had first contacted their ship. Next to her stood the male they had seen briefly, Jinwoo. "Welcome to Earth," Hana said, smiling widely. "We're so sorry about the rough landing. Spring storms can be unpredictable." "You call that a storm?" Taeho asked. "Our shuttle was nearly torn apart." "That was just the edge of one," Jinwoo said. His voice was deeper than Hana's. "It'll get stronger later today. We've moved your meeting inside the dome for safety." The aliens looked at each other in disbelief. If that was just the edge of a storm, what was a full storm like? "Please follow us," Hana said, turning toward a door in the dome wall. "We've prepared a special area where you can remove those heavy suits. The air inside is adjusted to match your ship's atmosphere." The team followed slowly, struggling with each step in the heavy gravity. Kyung noticed that the humans moved easily, as if the crushing force meant nothing to them. How was that possible? Inside the dome, they were led to a room with clear walls. Signs in Standard Galactic marked it as a visitor center. Once inside, the door sealed behind them. "You can safely remove your suits now," Hana said through a speaker. "The room will scan and adjust to your needs." Taiho checked his instruments. "The air, it's like our ship's air, and the gravity is lighter in here." Carefully, the team removed their helmets. The air tasted strange but breathable. Without the suit's support, Kyung still felt heavier than normal, but he could stand without too much effort. Through the clear walls, they saw humans going about their daily lives. Children played in an open area. Workers moved between buildings. It looked so normal, Yet it was happening on a world that should kill all life. How? Yunji asked, watching a human child run and jump with ease. How do you survive here? Hana and Jinwoo exchanged looks. That's a long story, Hana said. One we'd be happy to share over a meal. We've prepared food safe for your biology. Before that, Kyung said, I bring greetings from the Galactic Alliance. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. And we welcome you with open arms, Hana replied, using a formal tone that matched his. Then she smiled again. Now, who's hungry after that exciting landing? As they followed their hosts deeper into the human city, Kyung couldn't help but notice how strong and confident the humans looked. Their bodies were solid, their movements sure. They had built a thriving civilization on a world that should be impossible to live on. These humans were either the luckiest species in the galaxy or the strongest, and Kyung wasn't sure which answer scared him more. Back on the Starseeker, Captain June watched as Science Officer Sunwoo studied the data sent from the landing team. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel, bringing up images and numbers on the main screen. It doesn't make sense, Sunwoo said, shaking her head. According to everything we know about life, these humans should not exist. Explain, June ordered, moving closer to see the screen. Sunwoo pointed to an image of a human cell. Look at their cellular structure. It's remarkably strong. They have special proteins that repair damage from radiation that would destroy our DNA. Their bones are dense and don't break under Earth's gravity. Their lungs filter out toxins that would kill us in seconds. Could they be artificial? June asked. Created beings, not natural ones? No, Sunwoo said firmly. Their genetic code shows natural evolution, but it's like they evolved specifically to survive on a world that tries to kill them every day. And their technology? June asked. Advanced. In some ways, simple in others. Sunwoo brought up images of human buildings, vehicles, and energy systems. They focus on practical solutions, strong buildings that resist storms and quakes, energy systems that can survive damage, everything built to last in harsh conditions. June was quiet for a moment, thinking, what do they want from us? That, said Sunwoo, is what our diplomatic team needs to find out. On Earth, Ambassador Kyung and his team were being given a tour of New Seoul, the largest human city. Their guide was Engineer Jinwoo, who walked at a slow pace to allow the aliens to keep up in the heavier gravity. This is our main hydroponics facility, Jinwoo said, leading them into a vast building filled with plants growing in water instead of soil. The light was different here, more red than the light on the aliens' homeworlds. You don't grow food in the ground? Asked cultural specialist Minji. We do in some places, Jinwoo explained, but hydroponic systems are more efficient and can be protected inside the domes during the worst storms. How often do these storms come? Asked Safety Officer Taiho. The big ones? About once a month, Jinwoo said casually. The really big ones? Maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Those can last for weeks. Taiho looked shocked. Weeks? What do? We stay inside the domes, Jinwoo shrugged. Play games, work, study. Normal life just indoors. They moved on to an energy production center where huge machines hummed with power. This is one of our fusion plants, Jinwoo explained. We have 6 in New Seoul alone. Each one can power the entire city if needed. Why so many? Asked Medical Officer Yoonji. Backup systems, Jinwoo said. We never rely on just one of anything important. Earth has taught us that lesson many times. As they walked, Kyung noticed something strange. There are no old humans here, he said suddenly. Everyone looks young or middle-aged. Jinwoo smiled. Good eye. Most older people live in the central areas where gravity controls make movement easier. But they're not as old as you might think. Our average lifespan is about 150 of our years. 150 years? Yoonji gasped. The aliens lived about 80 years on average. How is that possible in these conditions? Our bodies are good at fixing themselves, Jinwoo said. They have to be, to survive here. The tour continued to community spaces where humans gathered to eat, talk, and relax. Children played games that looked like fighting practice. Adults watched and cheered them on. "Your young trained for combat?" Taiho asked, his ears twitching with concern. "Not combat," Jinwoo corrected. "Survival. Every human child learns how to fight the world from a young age. How to survive if caught outside in a storm. How to find clean water. How to set a broken bone. Basic skills." "Basic?" Minji whispered to Kyung. On their worlds, these were emergency skills that few ever needed to use. At the end of the tour, they stopped at a large window looking out beyond the dome. The sky had turned dark with storm clouds. Wind bent the trees almost to the ground. Rain fell so hard it looked like solid sheets of water. "The storm has arrived," Jinwoo said calmly. "Good timing. You'll be safe here tonight." Minji stepped closer to the window, fascinated by the wild scene outside. "I have a question that's been bothering all of us," she said. "Why stay? Why not leave this dangerous world and find a more hospitable one?" Jinwoo looked genuinely confused. "Leave? This is home. We don't run from challenges. We overcome them." "But your life would be easier elsewhere," Kyung pointed out. "Easier, yes," Jinwoo agreed. "But would we still be human somewhere else? Earth has made us who we are. Every storm we survive makes us stronger. Every problem we solve makes us smarter." A strange pride filled his voice as he looked out at the raging storm. "This world tries to kill us every day. And every day we say, 'Not today.'" The aliens were quiet, trying to understand this strange way of thinking. That evening, the team was given rooms in a visitor housing area. The gravity was adjusted to be lighter, and the air was like their home worlds. It should have been comfortable, but Taeho couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what Jinwoo had said. Getting up, he walked to the window of his room. The storm outside was even worse now. Lightning flashed across the sky, showing glimpses of the landscape being battered by wind and rain. A movement caught his eye. There, outside the dome, was a small figure. A human child, no more than 10 years old, was standing in the acid rain. The wind pushed against her, but she stood firm. The rain that would melt through Taiho's suit splashed harmlessly on her skin. She was laughing, face turned up to the storm as if greeting an old friend. Taiho stepped back from the window, his heart beating fast. He reached for his communicator to call the ship. "Captain," he said when June answered, "I need to report something important. The humans, they're not just surviving here. They're thriving in conditions that should kill them. And their children play in storms that would destroy our ships." "What are you saying?" June asked. Taeho took a deep breath. "I'm saying that if these humans ever decided to leave their death world, there might not be anything in the galaxy that could stop them." The communicator was silent for a long moment. Then June spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "Make friends with them, Taeho. Make very good friends with them for all our sakes." As Taeho put down the communicator, lightning flashed again. The human child was gone, leaving him to wonder if he had imagined her. But deep down, he knew he hadn't. He had seen the future of the galaxy standing in that storm, a species shaped by the most dangerous world ever discovered, laughing in the face of certain death, and it terrified him. A week had passed since the alien diplomatic team arrived on Earth. The storm had ended 3 days ago, leaving behind a landscape washed clean. From the safety of the dome, the aliens could see how quickly the planet recovered. Plants that had been bent to the ground now stood tall again. Animals emerged from hiding places to continue their lives. Captain June had joined them on the surface 2 days ago, leaving his ship under the command of Officer Hyun. After hearing the reports from his team, June decided he needed to see this world for himself. Today they had been invited to a special meeting with the Earth Council, the main governing body of human civilization. Director Hana Kim led them away from the modern buildings of New Seoul, toward an ancient structure built of stone that stood alone on a hill outside the main dome. "This is the Hall of Ancestors," Hana explained as they approached. "Our oldest building. We hold our most important meetings here." It doesn't have a protective dome, Taiho noticed, looking worried. It doesn't need one, Hana said. It has stood for over 1,000 years through everything Earth has thrown at it. The stones were chosen for their strength and fitted together without mortar. It moves with the quakes instead of fighting them. The aliens wore lighter versions of their protective suits, still needing help with the gravity and air. They followed Hana up stone steps worn smooth by countless feet over the centuries. Inside, the hall was cool and dim. Light came from windows, set high in the walls. In the center was a round table made from a single piece of dark wood. Around it sat 5 humans, 3 women, and 2 men. They were older than any humans the aliens had seen so far, with silver hair and lined faces that showed years of experience. The Earth Council, Hana said quietly. Our wisest leaders. One woman rose as they entered. She moved with grace despite her age, showing no sign of weakness. Welcome, she said. I am Elder Suk. Please, join us at the table of friendship. Captain June stepped forward. I am honored to meet you, Elder. I am Captain June of the Galactic Survey Corps. Elder Suk smiled. We've been watching the stars for generations, waiting for contact. We knew we weren't alone, but we also knew our world was different. Different is an understatement, June replied. Your planet is categorized as the most lethal environment ever documented. By all rights, complex life shouldn't exist here at all. The aliens took seats at the table. Even with their suits helping them, movement was difficult. The humans watched with interest, but not surprise. They had seen how the aliens struggled with Earth's basic conditions. Elder Suk nodded thoughtfully. Captain, what you call a death world we call Earth, but there's something you should know. We didn't evolve here. The revelation silenced the aliens. They looked at each other in confusion. Science Officer Sunwoo spoke first. But your bodies are perfectly adapted to this environment. Your cellular structure, your bones, your lungs, everything about you is designed for this world. Designed is the right word, said another council member, an old man with deep-set eyes. But not by nature, at least not at first. Elder Suk continued. Our ancestors came from the stars like you. According to our oldest records, they arrived on ships seeking refuge. Earth was hospitable then, similar to your homeworlds. But a cosmic event, we call it the Great Transformation, changed everything. What happened? Asked Sunwoo, leaning forward. Our sun began emitting unusual radiation patterns. The planet's core became unstable. Rather than flee, our ancestors chose to stay and adapt. Elder Suk's voice was calm, as if telling a bedtime story rather than a tale of planetary disaster. But why? Ambassador Kyung's voice was barely a whisper. Why not leave? The transformation happened too quickly, another council member explained. Their ships were damaged. There was no time to build new ones or to evacuate everyone. So, they made a choice, adapt or die. At first they used technology, Elder Suk said. Protective domes like the ones we still use today. Special suits to go outside, but they knew these were temporary solutions. The real answer was in our own bodies. She touched a panel on the table, and a holographic image appeared above it. A strand of DNA slowly turning. Our ancestors were masters of genetic science. They began to change themselves. First small things, stronger bones to handle the increasing gravity, better lungs to filter the changing air. Then bigger changes as the world grew more hostile. The hologram showed the DNA changing, sections lighting up and shifting. It took many generations, Elder Suk continued. Those who couldn't adapt died. Those who could pass their stronger genes to their children. Each generation became more suited to the new Earth. You chose this? Ambassador Kyung asked, stunned. We chose survival, corrected Suk. And in doing so, we became something more. Captain June sat back in his chair trying to process this information. Your ancestors rewrote their own genetic code to match a dying world rather than leave it? Earth wasn't dying, Elder Suk said firmly. It was changing, as all things must. and we changed with it. What of your history before this transformation? Asked cultural specialist Minji. Do you know where your ancestors came from originally? Some records survived, Elder Suk said. We know they called their homeworld Terra originally. It was the third planet in this same system. We are still in our ancestral home, just a changed version of it. And the original appearance of your species? Asked Medical Officer Yunji. Was it different? Not as much as you might think, said Elder Suk. She touched the panel again, and the hologram changed to show an image of an early human. We were always bipedal with 2 arms and 2 eyes. Our skin was more varied in color then. Some had very dark skin, others very light. Now most of us have this middle tone that best handles Earth's radiation. The aliens studied the image. The early human looked softer somehow, less dense with less muscle mass. Over thousands of generations we became what you see today, Elder Suk said, gesturing to herself and the other council members. A species forged by adversity, tempered by a world that tried to kill us every day. Captain June thought of the human child playing in the acid rain, laughing as if it were nothing more than water. And your technology? He asked. You maintain advanced systems despite these harsh conditions. Necessity drove innovation, said one of the male elders. When the air became toxic, we created better filtration. When radiation increased, we developed better shielding. When quakes destroyed cities, we designed buildings that could move with them. Elder Suk stood slowly, walking to a window that looked out over the landscape. Captain, I sense your worry. You wonder what kind of threat we might pose to the galaxy. A species that can survive conditions that would kill most life forms. June didn't deny it. The thought has crossed my mind. Then let me put your fears to rest, she said, turning back to face him. We are not conquerors. We have never had the desire to leave our home. Earth has shaped us, taught us, made us who we are. We reach out to the stars now not to find new worlds to inhabit, but to find new friends to know. And if those friends don't feel the same? Safety Officer Taiho asked. Elder Suk smiled, but there was a hardness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Then they would learn what we learned long ago. That those who adapt, survive. And we have become very, very good at surviving, the Room fell silent as the aliens understood the gentle warning behind her words. These humans didn't want war or conquest. But if threatened, they would not be easily defeated. I believe, Captain June said at last, that the Galactic Alliance would be honored to count humans among its friends. Elder Suk's smile warmed again. Good. Then let us celebrate the beginning of a new relationship, one that I hope will benefit both our peoples for generations to come. As the meeting ended and they prepared to leave the ancient hall, Captain June found himself looking at the humans with new eyes. They were not monsters or miracles. They were survivors who had refused to be defeated, even by their own world. In their stubborn determination to live, they had transformed themselves into something new, a species that could laugh in the face of conditions that would kill any other known life form. It was terrifying, and it was magnificent. 6 weeks after the Starseeker discovered Earth, Captain June stood before the Galactic Council. The great meeting hall was filled with representatives from over 200 worlds. They had gathered to hear about the humans, the species that lived on a Class 15 Deathworld. Honored representatives, June began, I bring news of a discovery that will change our understanding of life in the galaxy. He described Earth, showing images of its violent storms, crushing gravity, and toxic atmosphere. The council members murmured in shock. Many had never heard of a Class 15 world before. And yet, June continued, humans not only survive there, they have built a thriving civilization. The images changed to show human cities, farms, and technology. The murmurs grew louder. This defies all biological understanding, said Council Leader Mach, a tall being with green skin. How is it possible? June explained what the humans had told him about their ancestors, the Great Transformation, and their choice to adapt rather than flee. They changed themselves to match their world, June said. Over thousands of generations, they became a species that can withstand conditions fatal to the rest of us. The council erupted in concerned voices. A representative from the science division stood. "If this is true," she said, "these humans could potentially colonize any world in the galaxy. They could survive environments we cannot. This gives them a strategic advantage that cannot be ignored." Other representatives joined in, their voices growing fearful. "What if they decide to expand?" asked one. "How could we stop a species that laughs at conditions that would kill us?" asked another. Fear began to spread through the hall until Council Leader Mock called for silence. "Captain June," he said, "you have spent time with these humans. Do you believe they pose a threat to the Alliance?" Before June could answer, the doors to the council chamber opened. Director Hana Kim entered with Ambassador Kyung beside her. The human walked confidently, despite the lighter gravity that would make most visitors feel strange and floaty. "Honored Council," Kyung announced, "with your permission I present Director Hana Kim of Earth, who wishes to address you directly." The council fell silent, all eyes on the human. Many had never seen a species from a Deathworld before. They noted her solid frame, her easy movement, the calm strength in her eyes. "Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Alliance," Hana began, her voice clear and strong, "I understand your concerns. You've just learned of a species that can survive conditions you find fatal. You wonder what this means for the future of the galaxy." She paused, looking around the room. "Let me ease your minds. We understand your fears. But consider what we offer. Not competition, but cooperation." Hana activated a small device she carried. A holographic display appeared in the center of the council chamber, showing human innovations born of necessity. Atmospheric purification, systems that could reclaim toxic planets, radiation-resistant crops that could grow in hostile environments, medical techniques that could cure diseases thought terminal. On Earth, survival required innovation, Hana continued. What you see as our advantage, we see as our gift to share. We don't seek to colonize your worlds. We've spent generations making our difficult home comfortable. Instead, we offer partnership. She showed images of planets in the Alliance that were considered too dangerous to inhabit. Worlds with toxics, air or high radiation or strong gravity. With our help, these worlds could become new homes for those who need them. Species running out of space could expand to planets previously thought unusable. The council members looked at each other, seeing the possibilities. A representative from the Agriculture Division spoke. "Your crops could help feed billions on worlds where farming is difficult," he said. "Exactly," Hana agreed. "And your technology could help us in return. Your faster-than-light travel, your energy systems, your art and culture and new ideas." Council Leader Mock studied the human carefully. "Why share your advantages? You could demand much in return." "Because that's not who we are," Hana said simply. "Earth taught us that survival isn't just about being strong or tough. It's about working together, helping each other, finding solutions that benefit everyone." She gestured to Captain June. "When the Starseeker found us, they could have kept our existence secret. They could have reported us as a threat. Instead, they reached out in friendship. We wish to do the same." June stepped forward to stand beside her. "Council members, I've witnessed firsthand what humans call adaptation. They transformed a Class 15 Deathworld into a home. Imagine what challenges we could overcome together." The council chambers grew quiet as the representatives considered this. Finally, Council Leader Mock nodded. "The council will need time to discuss this fully. But I believe many of us see the wisdom in your words, Director Kim. Perhaps we should begin with a joint project, something to demonstrate the benefits of working together." 6 months later, Captain June stood on the surface of Nokara, a moon that had been abandoned centuries ago because of its toxic atmosphere. It orbited an inhabited world whose people were running out of space. With him was Director Hana and a team of human specialists. The humans wore no special gear as they worked with alien scientists to set up atmospheric processors. The machines were a combination of human and Alliance technology, more efficient than either could have created alone. "In 2 years, this moon will be habitable," said one of the human engineers. "The first settlers can begin building then." June watched through his protective suit as the humans handled materials that would burn his skin. They breathed air that would kill him in minutes. They carried equipment that would crush him under its weight. Science Officer Sun Wu joined him at the viewport of their protected habitat. "They're remarkable," she said quietly. "They're survivors," June replied. "Perhaps that's what the galaxy needed most." Later, as the Earth ship prepared to return home, June spoke with Hana one last time. "You know," he said, "when we first discovered you, many of us were afraid of what your species might do if you left your Deathworld." Hana smiled. "And now?" "Now I worry about what will happen to those who might threaten you," June admitted. "Your people are kind and helpful, but I've seen what you're capable of." "We were shaped by hardship," Hana said. "It taught us to value peace, but it also taught us to be persistent when faced with challenges." June nodded. The polite word persistent didn't begin to describe the determination he had seen in humans. They simply didn't give up, no matter the odds. "The Alliance is changing," he said. "Some worlds are already adapting their environments to allow human visitors. They want your help, your technology, your friendship." "And we're happy to give it," Hana replied. "Earth may have made us strong, but it also taught us that no one survives alone. We need friends, allies, connections." As June watched the Earth ship depart, he thought about how quickly things had changed. 6 months ago, no one knew humans existed. Now they were helping solve problems thought impossible. Their technology was spreading. Their ideas were changing how the Alliance viewed challenges, and all because the Starseeker had found a death world that shouldn't exist, and the impossible species that called it home. In the habitat below, human and alien scientists worked side by side. One species that had conquered a death world was now teaching the stars how to overcome the impossible, and the galaxy would never be the same. The end.